It was a tough result to take on Sunday, Andy, losing 3-1 to Barrytown United. You said in your post-match interview that I listened to that your side just didn't turn up. As you sit now a few days on, is your post-match assessment still the same?
Pretty much, I think so, yes. It was unfortunate, It just goes to show, in this league there are no easy games, and you've got to turn up week in and week out and deliver your best performance. And unfortunately for us on the day, there were too many individual players that didn't offer their best self, which obviously collectively then means your team then are dysfunctional and you don't play to your own level. I'm confident that if we can play to our level, we can beat teams in this league, but individually and collectively we've got to find that level, and we've got to be able to consistently deliver that level. So ultimately, yeah, that was the greatest disappointment, that we didn't actually play to our level. The result obviously hurts because yet again we feel that was an opportunity for points, and we've not come out of that game with points. So again, ultimately in this league we've got to work out how we're going to accumulate points.
Well, there are still 33 points to play for in the Gennaro Adrian Premier this season. Your side are just 2 adrift of safety. Still a long way to go before anything's decided, and there's going to be lots of twists and turns still to come.
Yeah, and I said the same to Stuart last week. There's still a lot of football. There's no need for any panic yet. It's about us really understanding that when the games come that really do matter, that we're in a position to get points out of those games. And that was an occasion last weekend as it was the weekend before. And out of 6 points, we've come away with 1. At the end of the day, 1 point in every 6 is not going to be enough for us to stay in this league. So we sit here week on week and we talk about progress. We sit here week on week, we talk about soft metrics and things that maybe other people don't identify as progress and performance for us. The bottom line is, at some stage we've got to learn to win games, or we've got to learn to accumulate points. We're still a young team, that's not going to change. We're an inexperienced team, that's not going to change. We've just got to work harder. We've got to keep believing, as a group, as a team, as a club, that we can get ourselves out of this. You've just identified there are still plenty of games, there are still plenty of points. The fact of the matter is, and the truth is, it's in our own hands in how we perform and where we finish in this league.
It's Cardiff City women away this coming weekend. You've faced the Bluebirds twice already this season and came close to pulling off, a spectacular upset in the FAW Women's Cup. What sort of game are you expecting this time around?
Well, it'll be a different game this weekend for different reasons. Predominantly it's all around availability and selection, and we are sort of down to the bare bones at the moment. We're missing players in key positions like we were at the weekend. Again, you can only ever control what's in front of you, so we've got to come up with a game plan that can help us within this game try and get something out of it. So the game plan will be starkly different from last time and will be customised for the players that we've got available for this week. It's a difficult challenge, we know that. I think they're on a run of at least 6 games back-to-back wins, scoring plenty of goals from all over the pitch. So we know that we've got our work cut out this weekend.
That does lead on nicely to my next question, actually, Andy. You mentioned there a game plan. I obviously wouldn't expect you to give too much away at this point, but that's obviously something you're already working on for this weekend's game.
Well, we spend a couple of days every week looking at the opposition and devising the game plan and looking at what players that we've got available to us and how we're going to set up and how we're going to play. So we tend to work in blocks of a couple of games at a time, because obviously training time is quite restricted. So that helps us in doing that. So we've got a good idea of what we need to do and how we need to set up this weekend. And as I say, we'll adjust accordingly.
Before the game in the capital on Sunday, there are a couple of training sessions between now and then. Another thing you mentioned in your post-match interview at the weekend was emergency defending. Is that something in particular that you're going to be working on this week in the build-up to the game?
No, not particularly. I think it's more about our strengths really than it is, something that you need to pull out of the hat at a different moment within the game. Situational defending is a mindset really. It's about having that passion and that desire to keep the ball out the back of the net, to get in the way, to block shots, to block crosses, to clear the ball as and when that you need to. So there's not very much that you can train there. That really is, as I say, a mental skill that is required of most players. We'll be fundamentally working on mainline defensive principles and setting ourselves up to make ourselves really difficult to beat.
And finally, Andy, as always, what's the general injury and availability situation looking like ahead of the game on Sunday?
Well, we're still carrying 1 or 2 injuries, muscle strains and Achilles strain, and 1 or 2 illnesses. So we won't have a full team, a full squad to select from this weekend. But you know, one player's misfortune is another player's opportunity. So we expect and anticipate those players that when they're called upon to come in and do their bit, that they do actually grasp the opportunity and come in, do themselves justice and add value to the team and to the squad on that occasion. So at the moment, with you know part of the week still to go, it's difficult to sit here and tell you who is or who isn't available, because there's still several days and we're hopeful that 1 or 2 may recover, but as I say, it's unlikely that we'll have a full team to pick from.